But we're going to go ahead and get started. Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Unleash Your Potential podcast, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourselves. I'm John Brucato. I'm the host. I'm here with two very, very special guests, and I'm excited. You know, we've been doing this for a while now, and I've been dying to get Leah and John Anthony on this podcast. And man, they're just two of my favorite people, and so I'm so excited for you to hear from them today. Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Morning.
Yeah. So, I think that it would be wonderful for us to open things up. And just right off the bat, we had to move our recording time a little bit later today, right? Which is good. Which is good, by the way. It's always a good thing. Why did we have to do that?
We're on summer break and on kids' schedule right now.
Yes.
Big parents.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's such an important thing because a lot of people think that business owners don't have lives, right? And they just all go, 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 go. But in actuality, a lot of us are parents, and you guys have beautiful kids, by the way. And yeah, sure, man. And so I thought it'd be great, if we talked a little bit today about that. But before we do any of that stuff, man, I love for everyone to get to know you guys a little bit because you guys are really one of my favorite power couples, man. And what you're doing is just truly an amazing thing. And I think very few people are really doing. I think a lot of people talk about doing what you guys are actually doing, right? But very few actually execute, right?
Yeah.
So what do you guys do work wise?
Both real estate agents, husband and wife team, and we have two agents in our team. We're doing things a little bit backwards, according to a very popular book, Keller Williams, millionaire real estate agent.
Yeah.
But it's just how things unfolded with us. So.
So you said you're doing things backwards. What does that mean, John?
That means generally you want to get into production as a whether it's an individual or as a couple. You want to get your first hire is supposed to be an assistant, but we're not doing that. we kind of skipped the gun a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, you know what? If you guys have the systems and the means, by all means, get after it, right? So are you guys both from the Houston area originally?
Yeah, so for me, I've been living in Houston for 13 years now.
Okay.
Originally from Maui, so very small island, and I came here just blown away on how the opportunity and how big everything was. And then I fell in love with my husband over here. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to leave my small town to come here. And loved it ever since. So we tried to go back to Hawaii to see my family there.
Yeah.
I mean, who wouldn't want to be on vacation in Hawaii for a month? So we love doing that. But we also know that Houston is definitely a place for us to grow our business and raise our family. And just so fortunate how Houston, the population, the market, it's just been really good to us.
Yeah. And speaking of market, where are you guys? What part of? I mean, Houston's like its own country, right? What part of the city do you guys stay at?
We live in the Galleria.
Okay.
Yeah, we live in the Galleria, right on Bering and San Felipe. If anybody's familiar with Houston.
Yeah, I know the area. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Do your kids go to school right in that area?
Yep, down the street. They go to Briar Grove Elementary.
Yeah, I know
San Felipe.
Okay, that's cool, man. John Anthony, have you always been in real estate?
No. I have a heavy sales background.
Yeah.
Funny, I wasn't even supposed to get into sales. I was wanting to go into school or going to college to be music education and music performance because I played the cello growing up.
Oh yeah, wow. That's awesome.
By the time I realized how important GPAs were and scholarships were, I ended up going to community college instead of going straight to a university.
Yeah.
But I started in real estate in 2017. Yeah, that's where I got my foot into the door, and that also, being a realtor wasn't my goal either. That was also kind of like by accident.
Yeah.
A little bit of history about that is, I got into real estate when I was working at a friend's restaurant. It's a very popular restaurant called Flip and Patty's.
Oh yeah, I know. I used to eat there all the time at UH.
Yeah. That's awesome. I was probably on the truck whenever.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
Yeah, that's the story. And I was working on their truck because shortly before that I had a shave ice business.
Yeah,
I was inspired by Leah because she brought me to Hawaii, and I brought the concept here. But shut the business down. And people say your first business isn't going to be the business that usually takes off.
Sure.
A lot of learning lessons to that. But when they're happening is when I was working with Flip and Patty's at a friend's restaurant, we got something in the mail from her cousin, and the cousin was asking us if our 2 oldest daughters can be flower girls for their wedding. And I said, how am I going to afford this working at my friend's restaurant? I love working here. This was nice. It was a nice break for the time being.
Yeah.
Because I forgot what it was like to have money in my pocket after owning a business.
Sure.
And I said, I got to go start finding another sales job.
Yeah.
Started off looking for a leasing agent job, salary plus some type of commission.
Yeah.
And then I ended up finding a website, or I guess on ZipRecruiter or one of those recruiting sites.
Yeah, sure.
Job hiring sites. And they said, oh, salary for real estate. I was like, oh, what can this be all about?
Yeah.
The funny thing is that when I sent my resume, I called into that office and said, hey, did you guys get my resume? And they said, no, I didn't. And the person who picked up the phone happened to be the HR and also the whole entire administrative staff for that one office. She said, hey, you sent that to the wrong office. Send it to me directly and I'll take care of it and push your resume through. Cool.
Yeah. Wow.
I get her name and I write her name down and I write her email address. And I said, that name sounds very familiar.
Yeah.
I was and it said Mindy Hong. And I said, I only know one Mindy Hong.
Yeah.
I was like, whatever. So I take that out of my head. I just go ahead and take action, send her the email.
Yeah.
And afterwards I go on Facebook. I was like, Mindy Hong happened to be the same Mindy Hong I'd used since high school.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was it was the craziest thing. And as I went through the interview process, what's even funnier is during my slow season of Shave Ice, I was looking up other ways to make money during the slow season, during winter, because we weren't really making anything during that time.
Right.
And I started researching on real estate at that time too, because I heard you can get into real estate with little money out of pocket, which you definitely can. You're just going to have a lot of elbow grease to do that.
Yeah, sure.
And I read about real estate investments, and that company did exactly what I was researching on.
Wow. What are the odds of that, man? God works in funny ways.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And Leah, how did you get involved in real estate then?
Yeah, so I was working at an optical office, and this was super close to where, we were living with his parents at the time. So it was super convenient. We had 3 girls too. So I was like, you know what? I just want to work to just do something. After being there for 5 years, I realized this is not going to give me the schedule that I want to be with my girls. And I've been so blessed to be around with people to remind me, hey, they're only going to be this little for this time. Enjoy what you have. And it was to the point where my oldest daughter started elementary school and I was working the 9-to-5 job.
Yeah.
And I get a call from the nurse's office saying, hey, you got to pick up your daughter. She's sick. Right. And for every parent that gets a call from the nurse's office, you pretty much drop your day, pick up your kids, and your day is done.
Right.
When I had to ask my manager to pick her up and she told me no, I was just like, I will never ask anyone to pick up my daughter again.
Yeah.
And that's when I started, what can I do? So he's been in real estate for 3 years. And I was just like, you know what? If my husband can do it, I could do it too.
Yeah.
So that's when I started, you know what? I want the freedom to control my time. I want to be there for my girls. I want to be a business owner. And when real estate came to my life and I did the studying and I saw the people I got to help and I got to see what impact I could do for families, I was like, this is it. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And after 5 years, we were able to build a team that we have now for people to follow us because they just wanted the support and to be around people who are going someplace.
Yeah.
And at first I was just like, you know what? This is not the responsibility I want, but God is kind of unfolding it for us. And the fact that we chose the broker with Keller Williams Memorial, that really allowed us to have the support, have the right kind of training. Yeah. I knew that if we have the right backup, we could really take off with real estate. And I'm so glad that we did, because now we're able to, go on vacations anytime that we want to. When our girls have summer breaks or winter breaks or those random 3-day breaks, we get to spend time with them. And the fact that we get to say, hey, clients, we're going to be off this time. Our team is going to be able to take care of you and really spend that time with our family. I mean, like, after we did that for a few years, I told John Anthony, I was like, this is what I want. Yeah. I want to do more road trips. I want to go on more vacations, and I want to bring more people with us.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a powerful testimony. And it takes courage to do that, by the way, to make that shift, to have both parents working, for themselves, working in business, right? And you guys, have beautiful kids, and I'm sure they understand, or maybe they don't. I don't know. Have you guys talked to them about what you're trying to build? Like, have you talked to them about the family vision? Is that something you guys talk about?
Ooh, I would say yes. Yeah. I would say yes. Not clearly defined in that manner. I do know we've definitely brought it up many times. Like, hey, we're that's real estate. Yeah, we're doing this for you guys. We're building real estate. Be business owners. Be entrepreneurs. Right. Yeah. We're really doing the best we can to instill that mindset into them. And it's our oldest one. It seems as though she's starting to take that into consideration, because she came up to us before, like a few years ago when we played Monopoly together. They were still just getting the understanding it. And now my oldest daughter's 10. Yeah. And she's the one saying, Mommy, Daddy, can we play Monopoly? I want to own a subdivision. I was like, okay, we're doing something.
I was like, for her to ask and make it where she can be like, oh, I want to do that. And I'm like, yes, that is the great kind of mindset that we want is, whatever they want to do, they can do it. But of course, it takes the consistency, the hard work, the right kind of people to be around them. And again, just having for her to bring that up, it was just like, wow, like, who would have thought like our 10-year-old daughter would think of wanting to own a subdivision? And here we are, us, like in our 30s, and it's like, how can we own a home?
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah. Wow, man. But hey, you know what? Sometimes that's our kids, with that childlike belief. And we need that sometimes. So think about this with even just traditional schooling. Think about how many people have their beliefs squashed by an educator or the system. And then we get into adulthood and we do that 9 to 5, and maybe something happens. We have a defining moment, like our boss saying no, or we're working at a restaurant but we want to make more money, and we have that defining moment that says, okay, there is something more and I can go get it. But yet we still have our limiting beliefs. So I think that's such a powerful thing that your daughter was able to almost have that childlike belief, because it's like, we're just trying to have a house, but why shouldn't we have a subdivision? Why can't we have that? That's right. That's so cool, And so I love that you guys are instilling those beliefs in your kids. My daughter's only 9 months old, John Anthony. I don't think you've met her before. I know Leia's seen her before at the chapter meeting, but man, just to have that level of happiness is just a whole different thing. But you guys obviously have busy schedules, right? Real estate's no joke. I mean, every business is busy, right? But real estate is no joke. I mean, that's a grind. How do you guys balance being parents, and being business owners?
He's probably better at talking about that than I am.
Yeah. So after 5 years of, having the schedule that we have, we meet on a weekly basis. We say, hey, let's talk about our schedule. Who's going to pick up the girls? Who's going to drop off the girls? Hey, if you have a showing or an appointment, let's move some things around. But it really took us a long time to really understand, hey, we want to do this business together. But we also don't want to feel like we're burnt out. And we've had that discussion many times. It's like, why are we working? If we're working until 9 p.m., which we definitely could work until 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. But we looked at our daughters, it's like, if we're sacrificing the relationship with our kids to make more money, what is the importance of having money when we don't even have a good relationship with our daughters? Correct. So then we really had to figure it out to be, hey, if you need to work longer hours, okay, you do that. Let me go hang out with the kids. Let me take them to the park. Let me have a play date. Well, it's also like my lead generating time. But let me be with them, because there's no sense that we work so hard to lose what we're doing. And I've had to personally read so many books. Like right now I'm reading like 4 children books about just how to be a better parent, how to do business, how to add more spiritual life in us, because at the end of the day, me and him, we can have our set values, but we know that our daughters being in school, being in all these activities, that sometimes we don't have the influence that we want on them. So, John Anthony came back from a church men's retreat, and ever since that,
come with me next year if you're.
Yeah, I'll trade you. I'll go to yours. You come to mine. We have one too. That's fine. It's gonna be amazing. Okay. Yeah.
Like having those things for us that says, hey, you know what? You're not just a parent, because I think that it took us a long time to realize, like, you know what? I'm Leia. I have my own interests, and I love the fact that I got to share my interests with my daughters versus no, I'm just a mom. I'm just a wife.
Right.
I think separating those different roles and then trying to combine them, it has been, such a work in progress for us. I mean, our daughters are 8, 9, and 10. All of them are in school, which is great for us during business time, because we get to leave you in a safe place. You're making friends, you're around good people, and we get to focus on work. And the fact that, our weekends allow us to control, hey, we're going to be with our family this weekend. We're not going to do any business, because we definitely set our boundaries where we tell our clients, hey, during these times, I'm with my family. And if you don't respect that, then you're not the kind of client that I need to work with. And I think in business, we try so hard to be, no, we need every single client. We need every single business. And we have to really step back and say, you know what? It's fine if we lose clients. If we do, they're just not meant to be. But our time with our family and ourselves is much more important. Yeah, I think that's huge what you said, because you said a couple of things, but I think that the biggest thing that can summarize it is you set expectations and boundaries. Yes. And I think that's huge. And by the way, that's a skill set that very few business owners have in the beginning. I don't know if you guys remember when you really first started, it was like, yes, I want this and this and this and this, and we were chasing every lead down and chasing everything down, and it was burning the candle at both ends, and you lose each other in your marriage, you lose each other in your own identities, you lose as parents. So that's awesome that you guys have and it does take time. Right? It does take time to have that realization, but then also to set that up, right? To set that system up. I mean, like, we have our conversations every week, either during the weekend or sometime on Friday, be like, hey, what's your schedule? We need to know, because we need to make sure that if you have your work time and we need to move things around, then we have our family time too. So we definitely have, it took us like 5 years to be like, hey, let's sit down together and look at our schedule. Google Calendar has definitely been a great
Google Calendar has definitely been a great, amazing source. I would add into all this as well as she mentioned, it's been a work in progress since the last 5 years, and really coming to terms too on what are really our strengths in terms of how well, how well she works, how well I work, and what aspect of the business and also life, and really capitalizing on those strengths. That's something that it took us a while to do, because we're both. And I'm guilty of this, because I'm like, hey, we all both got to be strong at everything. And then at some point, I'm like, no, we don't need to do that anymore. I was like, it makes more sense to do it this way and that way. But it took me a while to, get that out of my head. No, that makes sense, and it's interesting, man, because I'm starting to have an appreciation for what you've already done. Me now being a father, and I'm figuring that out. But I'll tell you what, I think it's a testimony to you guys and your toughness, because most people would have waited until they had it all figured out before they did anything, and you guys have just been doing and doing and doing, and learning and learning and learning, and then correcting as needed, right? That's why you guys are going to have massive success, more than the success you've already had, is because you're willing to take action with imperfect information and just go with it and see what happens. That's the balance comes between me and her. I'm the initiator, and she's like she's the executor. She's the executor. That's awesome, man. So
I think what would be really good, and I didn't think about this until just now, but I think this would be really cool for you guys to share your insights on, because there's a lot of people here in my organization, but also out there in the real world, that they want to work with their spouse. I think the days of let's wake up, let's kiss our kid goodbye and go our separate ways is really dying. I really think that old way of looking at work is dying, and a lot of people want to do something with their spouse. They want to work with their spouse, but they're afraid of a couple of things. They might be afraid of losing their identity in their marriage. They might be afraid of two people, now having no fixed income, right? But I think that the latter is or the former. I always get confused with that expression. I think that first one though is a big stopper for people. Like, well, if we're always working together and we're always parenting together and we're always living together and we're always like where we don't want to get lost, right? So how do you guys, what do you say you guys do maybe to prioritize also being husband and wife and not just business partners and not just parents?
We don't have that perfect. I'll say that.
Sure. By the way, it's okay to this is not a PG podcast, right? So it's okay. You can speak. You can speak plainly. That's good.
Perfect.
So we've grown so much in our personal development journey, and because we are like really aware of ourselves, because first it's like, how can you work with somebody when you don't even know yourself? So we took like personality tests, the Myers-Briggs, the DISC,
Enneagram.
We had to really learn about ourselves, and then we had to have compassion to learn about each other, because then we were just like, you know what, you are who you are, and that's okay. And I had to come from, no, you need to do this way, like, you need to talk to me this way, and you need to be this way to me, and I had to get the expectation out of my head to be like, you know what, I love my husband, he is who he is, I need to work around who he is, and I had to have the patience and the grace to be just understanding of our personalities. Then once we're aware of ourselves and how we work, because you do have a different personality when you are socially, when you are inner, when you have work, when you are parenting. And there's definitely times where, we're at home and one of us is yelling at our kids, and we're just like, you know what, you yell at them, let me be the nice cop, the bad cop. There's no sense that two people are the bad cops at home. So we really had to just be patient with each other. And then when tying it into work, it really comes, what do we want? Do we want the same things? And that even took us a lot of conversations to be, hey, like he wants this like $1 million home. He wants this like 5,000 square feet, this pool in the backyard. I'm like, can I just go like smaller? I don't want to clean all that house. So
by the time we have that, we'll afford that person to clean.
But then we also had to just like lay it out there. It's like, what do you want your life to be? What do I want our life to be? What do we want our family life to be? And what do we want it to look like together? And we had these conversations consistently. And another thing that it was really tough on us to talk about, and like for any business owners, right? Because once you get into business, you're pretty, like having a business partner, you're married to them. Unfortunately, I love my husband, so I love being married to him. But the finances was always the most difficult part. Because I had my own internal dialogue as a child, all my childhood trauma for talking about finance, and he did as well. So it took us a long time to realize, hey, your personal history about finance, it got us to where we are, and this is not where we want to be. So we really had to unpack all of that. And like he even told me, I was just like, wow, you really are your mom. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, whoa.
That's a good thing to say. That's a pro marriage tip for those that wanted to always tell your wife she's like your mom. That's good.
Both ways. Like I'll take the good, but then also the bad. But I also had to stop taking things so personally. And I think that really helped our marriage to be like, you know what, you have a different perspective than what I see, and I had to embrace the fact that we are completely two different people, and we need to move forward together. So really unpacking our financial situation to not judge it too. And I think that's what a lot of like couples do, is that they judge their spouse's spending habits. But at the same time, it's like, you know what, they are who they want to be. You got to let them have the freedom to spend however they want, because it is their hard-earned money. But at the same time, it's just like, we come together, this is our income, this is how much, 10% to savings, 10% to investments, we have to allocate it that way. And we have a spreadsheet. Thank God we both love spreadsheets.
There you go.
Because one word can mean many different things to different people. So we had to unpack it. I was just like, so what does finance mean to you? What does budgeting mean to you? So we really had to just like have these open conversations with each other and know that, hey, at the end of the day, we love each other. We're married together. We have a family together. We just want to do better. But how we do better, how are we going to do it? And that's a daily conversation. It's definitely not like a one thing and then that's it.
It's a daily conversation. I mean, the vision changes. The vision part, it's constantly, it's interesting. We're constantly, those conversations are just constantly always happening. We don't, it's not clearly set or defined, because it's just, sometimes things change, right? Things change.
And so we're gonna wrap up in a second, guys. But I thought this would be really cool, bonus tip wise. Like, I'm gonna scoot this way and see if we. Oh yeah, we're good. So this would be really cool. I don't know where I'm gonna put this. But by the way, so you guys have never recorded with me before. The way I do things, I really don't edit much. One of the reasons why you guys haven't met Robert yet, you will at some point. He's one of my friends and other VPs here in the office with me. He co-hosts along with me very often. One of the reasons why people like listening to us constantly is because we're completely raw and we don't really edit anything. We don't try like weird, marketing edits and that kind of stuff, right? So like, this is staying in the recording. Like, this what I'm talking about right now is going to be on Spotify. Someone's going to hear this and get back to the content, right? But no, I thought this would be a really cool little bonus clip because you guys work together. And Aaron, have you met my wife before?
I have not.
No, you haven't.
So many things about
you will at some point. She hangs out here every once in a while too, but we don't work directly together, right? Like, she's not here every day, but she does help me with a lot of stuff in our business, especially with keeping me focused, right? I have some structure, but I'm really the doer, and she's a lot more of the planner, right? But every so often, it doesn't happen that often, but we do have some of those intense fellowship discussions. We have those discussions with purpose, right? And working with your spouse, I think another fear that people might have is that the fights that happen at home are going to bleed into the office, and the fights at the office are going to bleed into the home, right? And that's why we don't even call them fights. We just say discussions with purpose, right? Intense fellowship, intellectual debate. Where one of us, her, is right, and I'm right. No, but so how do you guys separate that? Because it would. Well, I don't want to assume things that happen in and out of your marriage and out of your business, right? But if those things do happen, how do you separate that, or have you guys not figured that out yet?
A lot of times she just cuts me off. She's like, she's like, I'm not talking about this right now. I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. And I'm all excited. I'm like, whatever. I'm just gonna walk away. I'm like, all right, well, whatever.
There's a time and place for everything. And when it comes to, and we knew this too in our professional background, is like, hey, when we're in business, like, we're keeping it professional. But we also have to have, hey, we're gonna talk about this later. And sometimes that's exactly what we needed, because like, my husband's a very passionate, intense person, and I am like the calm, the cooling, the peaceful person. And I'm just like, you know what? Like, we just need to have this discussion later. But again, this also just because like I know myself so well that I can say, hey, this is what I need. We need to talk about it later, because sometimes like I'm not in the frame of mind to be open to hearing different ideas or just different perspectives, because I'm just like, I need to focus on this. Please talk to me later.
Yeah.
And I think if, you know, the tonality and how you just bring it up, saying, hey, I want to hear what you have to say. I just know myself right now. This is not the time and place for me to absorb it.
That's taken me a while to adapt to. I would have to admit, it's like, I remember at some point, so we also study zodiac stuff, right?
Yeah,
Mary, so I'm a fire symbol, she's water. I'm like, damn, she's putting out my freaking fire.
Yeah, and I think that takes a lot of emotional maturity for everybody, right? Is to say, but you said it's very, very important. It's we're not talking about it. It's just not now. Let's be where we are.
Yes.
And then we will revisit it later. And I think a lot of couples either don't do that and they end up fighting it out right there, you know, or they say that but they never revisit the conversation, and that builds a lot of resentment, and it builds problems, right? So wow, that's powerful. Good.
But you know, over time, as like, you know, she's been consistent at it, which I'm very grateful for. I'm like, okay, you're consistent at it. I start seeing the cues. I'm starting listening to the tone, and I don't take it as personal too. I mean, even as men, right? We got feelings, so
sure. No, 100%.
We could take things personal at sometimes, but I had to learn not to take that personal, because I'm like thinking, oh man, it's an idea. It's an idea. It's a great idea. It's for the family.
Yeah.
But that's how I took it, right? Whenever you say this is not a good time, I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Oh, and I was actually add something a little bit when we had asked one of those questions about working together. And
please.
This is after me going to my Axe Men's retreat.
Yeah.
I would say making the commitment to put faith first. And everything centered around faith.
Sure.
And strengthening our faith as husband and wife, and of course as a family.
Yeah.
That is going to be a big thing for sure. That will allow us to help move forward.
Yeah, I believe that, man.
Thank you. One of the speakers said something about. So I'm Catholic.
Yeah, sure.
And
that's how I was raised too.
That's so you understand the sacraments, and one of the sacraments is matrimony, and and the speaker, he was a deacon. He said that your job from the sacrament of matrimony of marriage is to get your spouse to heaven.
Yeah.
And when I heard that, I was like, all right, I gotta learn how to be the rock.
Yeah. Well, we have a philosophy here in our organization of God, family, business, in that order. You know, and sometimes those lines, you know, kind of lead together, you know, but always having that priority in mind, right? So that's huge. And I think that's a great way to close things out, honestly, you know, and I appreciate you guys making the time, because I know you had to come a little bit more west than you're used to, right, in Houston, to hang out with us. But I know you guys are really active in your communities, and you're active on social media. Do you guys know your social media handles, like your Instagram or something like that, off the top of your head?
My Instagram is Leah Maliza, Realtor.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So, and do you know your Sean?
Mine is that fit real estate guy.
Yeah, and he is fit, by the way. For those that aren't watching the video, he's got a 6-pack. I got a 6-pack of beer, or a keg, right? No, but hey, I really do appreciate you guys hanging out with us. As we sign off, guys, don't forget to check us out on YouTube at Unleash Your Potential _2024, or on Instagram at Unleash Your Potential Podcast. Guys, I appreciate you, and this episode will be live in about 2-3 weeks. It will be out there.
Thank you for having us, man.
Cool.